Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. Today, it's the day before cod season, 30th of November. And if you can hear it through the audio, I tried to make it so you can't, but it is raining at the moment. It hasn't stopped raining for the last 2 days where I am. And this rain is very widespread across most of New South Wales. So it's pretty much ruin tomorrow going fishing for me in the local river. The river's up, dirty, and it's just not worth it. So like the same as last year, the same thing happened. I wasn't able to get out on opening day due to the rain hitting at the same time a couple of days before open season. The same thing's happened this year. And although it's in the short term, it's not great, we're not going to be able to get out and go for a fish on opening day. It is good for the system, and we'll never complain about rain. Rain's always good, and it always keeps the system healthy. So not going to complain. The river will go into a minor flood. If it keeps going like it is at the moment, it might go into a decent sized flood. But in a week or two, that river will subside and the fishing should be really good. So although not great for everyone that's wanting to get out opening weekend in my area and probably around most of the state of New South Wales and maybe even Victoria, it's going to be pretty tough, I think, with how widespread the rain is. Although it's not great short term, in the long term, it definitely will make for better fishing. And we have had quite a warm and dry November, and the local river, it was down pretty low, and I'm getting really warm. So, yeah, this weather, this rain, it is welcomed. Although it's probably not the perfect time. It would have been great if this was a week ago, and then opening day and the day's following would have been absolutely perfect. But yeah, we won't complain about it. Anyway, in today's video, I'm just going to sit down and go through river fishing essentials. What I like to make sure I have when I go down the river fishing. I'm always on foot, so what I like to put in my backpack to take with me, and just some other bits and bobs like the right shoes and stuff like that. So we'll jump straight into it, and we'll grab the bag. Now, depending on the trip you're going to do, if I'm going to do an overnight or a multi-day trip, I'll take like a really big backpack that I can fit tent, sleeping bag, tarp, that type of stuff in it. But if I'm just doing a day trip, I'll opt for something like this. I've had this Black Wolf bag for a number of years. It's got a bit of support at the back there. You can put the straps around your waist and take the weight off, although this is only about a 40 litre pack. And if you're only going for a day, the weight doesn't really matter. If you are going to do multi-day trips, I'll do a video down the track about that, because this season I will be doing a lot of multi-day hiking trips. And that's more specialised gear where you're carrying a bit more weight and you need the right backpack and stuff. But for this type of stuff, just get yourself a nice 40 litre or so backpack, and that'll do the job. I like to have something you can keep your water in on the sides, and just a bit of back support, and something that's going to withstand a bit of a beating, because walking along the rivers, yeah, it's sort of up and down rocks and falling over and stuff all the time. So a reputable name that, yeah, has a bit of durability about it. Essentials that are in my bag at all times: scissors, obviously for cutting line, leader knots, tag ends. Scissors are always handy. You can use your teeth, which I have done enough for a number of years, but when you're playing with 40, 50, 60 pound leaders, you definitely want the scissors. Pair of split ring pliers, always have them, changing out trebles and stuff. Split ring pliers are essential. Sorry, just getting a phone call. Sam Blundell, ruining my video. He'll watch this. I'll ring him back in a sec. But yeah, split ring pliers, and I also do have a bigger set of pliers there for getting trebles out of fish. In the front here, I always take like stuff like a few cable ties. Cable ties always come in handy. You can attach stuff to your backpack, say a strap breaks or something. Yeah, they're just a handy thing to have, cable ties, so I always have a couple of them. A measuring device. I don't measure a lot of my Murray Cod these days, but if one is like a really sizable fish over that metre, or potentially a PB, I will measure it. Instead of taking a big bulky brag mate with me, I just take this. It's just like I don't even know what you call it, but you can just scrunch it up, and I think it's for sewing and knitting and stuff like that, so you can get the waist measurements of a person, but it's really handy. It obviously isn't going to be super accurate. I like to leave my fish in the water at all times. and just go over the top of them with this, and you'll get a bit of an estimate on the fish. It's obviously not fully accurate, but honestly, who cares if you're a centimetre or two out? So that's a really handy thing to take instead of having to lug a big, heavy, and awkward brag mat. I just take that. That's the backpack. Other essentials in the backpack: compression bandage or a snake bandage. This one's a bit old. I probably need to update it, but yeah, snakes are probably your biggest concern out on the river. Do see a lot of them. Generally, you're gonna you 99.9% of the time you're gonna be right, but that one off chance that you do happen to step on a brown or something and it turns around and hits you, you want to definitely have a bandage, and you do want to do a bit of research on how to handle yourself in a situation if that does happen. So I am a bit of a snake lover, so I'm always playing with snakes, and I do know what to do if I was to get bitten. But yeah, it's probably a good one for all the young fellas out there. Is make sure you know how to put a bandage on properly if you're getting bitten by a snake, and also just how to handle yourself in that situation. You don't want to be jumping around and winging out too much. You need to calm down and assess the situation and make sure you get out of there safely. In saying that, personal locating device is also a great idea. I don't have one at the moment. I generally fish with someone that does, but I will be buying a Garmin InReach for this season because I will be doing a lot more solo stuff. So just, yeah, Garmin InReach or something like that, a little that has an SOS button, so you can reach emergency services and they can come out and get you if a situation like a snake bite does happen. So that's a great idea. Another thing that I always take is some form of starting a fire. So either just a big lighter, I've always got that, and if they do fail, it can get wet and fail, I always have a flint with me or a ferro rod. So a flint, you can generally get a fire going. Takes a bit longer, but at least you know if this gets wet or your whole bag gets wet, this thing's still going to work. So fire could save your life. You never know what could happen down the river, and it's always handy to know that you can start a fire if you need to. Move on to other stuff. So I always take a GoPro. As you know, I do these YouTube videos, so I'm always filming. But even if you're not making content or YouTube stuff or stuff for Instagram, it is handy having a GoPro just so you can watch back footage of when you catch fish and what happens in those circumstances. I've learned a lot from just watching back GoPro footage of my fish captures and other things, like seeing fish in front of me that I didn't know that they were there at the time, but I went back and watched GoPro footage and I've seen it. Other things like having a small fish on, bringing it in, and then you can see a bigger fish following it in. Stuff that I haven't noticed at the time, but I watched the GoPro footage back. I'm like, holy shit, there was a meter Murray Cod following that 50 centimetre one in. It's pretty cool. So you do learn a lot, and it's really cool to have footage there. You don't have to share it. You can just keep it for yourself. But yeah, a GoPro is really handy. They withstand a lot of abuse, and they're also good for photos, so you can take photos with them. I've got a media mod on this GoPro. Media mods are really handy. Makes the audio of the footage. So if you are going to share the content, you want that audio to be a bit better. So a media mod's really handy for about $100. And I like to use a neck mount. So this is a neck mount. This is just a cheap one off eBay, but it just goes around your neck like that. And I find that the best. Instead of a chest mount can be a bit of a pain to get on and off. This neck mount's really easy. So, and it's good perspective from there. So GoPro's a great idea. Head torch. You've got to have a head torch. You know, fishing the river, like majority of styles of fishing, especially through summer, dawn and dusk are going to be your best bite windows. So you want to be fishing really early and really late for your best chance to catch Murray Cod. So you need a head torch for doing that. And the other thing is, if you do get stuck out there later, you want a head torch. You don't want to be relying on your phone light or something like that to try and get out of a sticky situation, or if you get stuck in there a bit later. So head torch really good. I use a lead lenser. I think it's an MH11. Had this for a number of years. Spend the money. These are a couple $100. A lead lenser, but I have found these to be the best. They're rechargeable. So every time I use it, I just bring it back, and I just charge it in my ute. So going between spots, or it's just always in the ute charging, and then when I need to use it, I know it's fully charged. So get a rechargeable, good, spend the money and get a good headlamp. Sunnies, got to have good sunnies. Another thing, like the GoPro, I've caught a lot of fish by wearing polarized sunnies. So polarized sunnies are just essential. Even if it's not a sunny day, you still can see so much water, so much more into the water with a set of polarized sunnies. I run Makos. I've run Makos pretty much my whole fishing life. These are the GT frames. I love the GT frames. They're just stylish. I actually look half decent in them, which is saying something. So yeah, I love my GTs, Mako GTs. They're really good sunnies, and yeah, you can just, it's not just being able to see fish, although a lot of times I have been able to spot fish and catch them from using good sunnies. It's also being able to see the structure that's just under the water. So many times there's a boulder or a log that's just under the surface of the water, and without a good set of sunnies you wouldn't see it, and half the time you wouldn't cast there. But with a good set of polarized sunnies you can see it, you cast to it, and half the time you'll jag the fish off it. So always have a good set of sunnies on you. Also like these cables, I don't even know what you call them, like neck bands that just hold the sunnies on your neck for you, so they sit down here. Yeah, these, I think they're about $10 from Anaconda, so they're cables. Yeah, I really like them. They're just better than putting them up on top all the time. Better for the sunnies, so check them out. They're pretty stylish too. Right, we might move on to some lures and some tackle. Tackle storage is a big thing. You can't take everything when you're hiking the river, unfortunately. It's not like you're in a boat where you can just take as much as you want. So tackle storage is a big thing. I like to use lure wraps these days. So this is a swim bait underground lure wrap. It's just easier and fits in a bag better than a big bulky tackle box does. So few different places make lure wraps. This one's obviously swim bait underground, so from America, but it opens up like that, so I can fit a fair few lures into there. They're obviously big swim baits that are still in there from winter, but as I'm getting ready for my open season trip, I'll fill that with stuff like hard bodies and spinner baits. So you got 2 patches in the middle and you got 2 on the end, and it just wraps up really nicely. It's better for your lures as well. They're not always banging around onto each other. They're all wrapped in there nice and tight, so they're not knocking paint off and damaging your trebles, so you don't have to replace them all the time. So that's really handy. In saying that, you also want to make sure you got stuff like leader on your replacement trebles and replacement split rings, because you never know, you damage a treble on a rock or any type of structure or on a fish, you need to replace it, and the same goes for the split rings. So also make sure you've got backups of those things. Move on to, actually I'll go to my shoes. I've had a lot of questions about my shoes that I run all last season. So these are them. They're a bit out there. I'll get called Michael Jackson a bit for wearing these. They're a bit of a moon boot. But what they are is actually a canyoning boot. So I did a canyoning trip in the Blue Mountains the start of last season, so in December last year. And the guide that we went with, he was running these canyoning boots. So one of the things I was really keen to do this canyon trip to see what they actually use, because the thing that I found with boots for the river is I'm always in and out of the water. So I don't want to be taking my shoes on and off. As soon as I catch a fish, I hop in the water with it, so I make sure the fish is going to be all right. I don't want to be dragging that fish up on the bank, getting it, knocking off its protective slime and letting it roll around on the rocks and that type of stuff, especially in summer. I like to keep the fish in the water and hopping in the water with the fish to make sure it's okay. So the thing is, when you're doing that in and out of the water all the time, I was running waterproof boots back in the day, and waterproof are great if you're not going in the water. Once you go in the water with a waterproof boot butt and it fills up, then the water stays in the boot. So you constantly got water in your boot, and it's just not very comfortable when you're walking multiple Ks in a day and you got water in your boot. I then went to stuff like trail runners, so joggers like trail runners with good grip, Vibram grips on them. And I run a number of pairs of those over the years, but the problem I found with those is they just were not durable. They weren't cut out for going up and down rocks, in and out of water, and just the abuse that I gave them. So that's what led me to these. I said to old mate, the guy said, how long have you had those boots for, and are they good? And he's like, yeah, I've had these for 5 years. They do look a bit busted, but he was doing canyoning trips 4 days out of a week, so putting them to the ultimate test. Now, these are a best start canyon guide boot. Now, the beauty of them is they've got drainage holes on them, so when the water goes in, it can drain back out. The other great thing is they're lightweight, and they've got Vibram soles, which are super grippy. I found these to be the best grip I've had. So when you're especially fishing around rocky country, you need to have good grip. You don't want to be in boots that don't have good grip. So grip's a big one. And the other good thing about these is they're a high top, and they've got an inbuilt gaiter system in them. So another bit of protection from snakes there is if you're going to get bit by a snake, a good chance it's going to be around that ankle from stepping on the reptile itself. So having a high boot and then running long pants, although I don't run long pants, I should, but if you run long pants over that high boot with the inbuilt gaiter, you're pretty safe. So they are the best start canyon guide boots. They cost me about $300 from a shop in Katoomba in the Blue Mountains. So about $300 and well worth it. They still look like they're brand new, and I reckon I'll get multiple seasons out of them, which I wasn't getting with my trail runners. The trail runners were great as well. They had good grip. They drained because they weren't a waterproof thing, but they just weren't holding up to the rigours of being in and out of the river and the hard labour of walking up and down the river. Right, we'll move on to my rod. So this is my rod. I run this for the majority of last season. It's a Daiwa Tatula, what is it? Daiwa Tatula 691 XHFB. It's a swim bait rod, but it's only 6'9". So this, they reckon it can cast up to 220 grams. I probably wouldn't go that high, but anywhere from sort of that 50 to 150 grams, which is the majority of your cod lures, is this rod's sweet spot. I haven't found anything that's too light for it to cast, and I've casted everything right up to massive swim baits on this. So it's a great rod. 6'9" is, I reckon, the perfect length for the rivers. I would love to go take a 7.5 metre swim bait rod with me all the time, but the problem is when you're in tight country around timber and trees on the bank, that bank vegetation, it's very hard to get a full cast in. So having a shorter rod makes it just so much easier for casting when you're in tight bank structure. So love this rod, can pretty much do anything. Love the split grip, it's easy for casting. And yeah, it's just the perfect river cod rod. So if you're in the market for a new rod, I'd check something like that out. Or yeah, something in that sort of, that range that can cast at 50, 100, 150 grams. You know, I always recommend to go a heavier rod more so than a lighter rod, because even if you're just getting into cod fishing, eventually you start throwing bigger lures. So you want a rod that can cover those bigger lures. The reel is just a Tatula 200 HD, and I've got 60-pound braid on that. So I was running 40-pound braid, but the 40-pound braid I was running was J-Braid Grand, and now I am running this J-Braid Grand Expedition. Now, the thing about these are, one says 40 and one says 60, but if you look at the diameters, they're both 0.32 mil in diameter. So they're actually the same diameter, which basically means they're the same strength line. So that's a good one for you guys that are just getting into it. Never just go by what the poundage says. Actually look at what the diameter says on your line. So I'm running the 60-pound, and I tie that to a 50-pound leader. Right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. I'm not going to go right through all my lures. I've done that plenty of times. So if you do want to look at some lures, go have a look back at some past videos, and I might do another one down the track. But this is just a quick one to go through some essentials that you really want to have on you or in your pack when you're down the river Murray Cod fishing. Good luck to everyone that is getting out this weekend for the first day. Good luck. It's going to be pretty challenging, I'd say, depending on where you are. But yeah, should be a great season this upcoming one. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to be spending a lot of time on the river, so make sure you keep an eye out for all the new videos coming. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.